We are back for Rivals Runback. Wrapped up week one, so this is, I guess, technically the Rivals Runback week one. Had a little bit of a preseason kickoff last week. Now we have a little bit of stats, a little bit of tape to go off of. Husky, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. It was a great week one. Had some good matches. We only got to stream one of them, so tonight is the night we get to talk about the other two. Kind of fill everyone in on the details of what's been going on in the league and what we can look forward to this coming week.
Yes, sir. I think we're gonna see. If I don't click the wrong thing, we'll kick it off with what actually happened in week one. Who beat who week one? So we had Conduit Omega take a 2-0 victory over Dude Crew. Braum Lives Matter, a 2-1 victory over GCCE, and a 2-0 victory for Patriots over New Origins Han Moon. We did our predictions. Some people in the community did the pick'ems, did their predictions. How do you feel about what happened week one?
Yeah, I think based on our projections, the biggest surprise was the Patriots 2-0 win over Han Moon. Um, I guess we shouldn't have counted these guys out so soon, but they kind of had started slow the first two splits, so kind of be expected that they might do it again. They definitely proved both of us wrong and some of the community as well because they won. The other two matchups, we did get right, so good for us on that one. But yeah, the biggest surprise was Patriots having such an easy time with Han Moon in that game. Series down at the bottom there.
Yeah, I think most people, maybe outside of the DC players themselves, most people had the reigning champs in Omega taking this week one. They of course called out Dude Crew for their week one matchup. The reigning champs versus the lowest pointed team. So it's just week one. Lot more series to be played, but I think most people had that one happening. The 2-1 Braum Lives Matter versus GCCE. Uh, I feel like most people had BLM winning 2-0. Maybe both of us. I don't really remember.
I think
Um,
you actually had the 2-1 there.
oh yeah. True. Yeah, I was right. I was right for sure. Obviously, how could I? No. Yeah, I obviously have to caveat it with BLM had an E sub in the top lane, as well as a sub support. I do believe. So they lost 3 bans all 3 games, and they still pulled out the 2-1 win. GCCE, of course, I believe they have one, maybe two, but at least one off-role player. Um, and curious to know how much they've actually been able to play with each other up until now. So uh, maybe this was I guess, I don't want to say quality check, but kind of showed them where they were at as far as going against BLM, who's usually a top half team. So we'll see how they go moving forward. And then you already touched on it. The It's weird to say upset, but maybe we were a little too low on Patriots. Maybe we were a little too high on Han Moon. Maybe it's just week one, and everyone gets their one warm up match in week one. So there you have it. There's your week one results. Um, we are I'm trying to think of what. I guess we can show the standings, how that shook things up here. Rivals League Split 3. So you have Kondo and Omega in first place still. They were already in first place. Patriots jumping up into the second place. Braum Lives Matter in third with their 2-1 victory. GCCE, the team that lost to BLM, right behind them. New Origins dropping to 5, and Dude Crew going to stay at 6. It's a long split, and there's not the most teams, so every match win is going to mean a lot. Uh, do you think that this is gonna? These standings gonna hold for a while, or every week's just gonna be a complete shakeup?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little shakeup. We're going to definitely see the cream of the crop rise here. Um, but, obviously, as far as power rankings, thoughts of at least the community coming into this, Patriots and New Origins were both projected to be very highly ranked teams. So the fact that they had to play each other could, kind of throw New Origin's a little bit lower. Someone had to lose out of that, even though um, they're both projected to be pretty good teams. So maybe they're a little bit lower, but they lost pretty handily to Patriots. I thought that they would either win or at least make it close. They did not. So maybe we just had them overrated. Maybe Patriots were underrated. Well, I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks, though.
Yeah, this is of course to re-mention that 4 teams make playoffs. Obviously, after week 1, still 6 weeks to go, so um, people are going to shift and move around and get more practice. You know, a lot of teams probably potentially thrown together last second. Maybe don't have that many actual games and whatnot with one another. Some teams don't practice. Some teams practice a lot. That might we might be able to see which ones do and which ones don't as we go forward. But I'm still I'm gonna give New Orleans a pass week 1. I think that they're gonna bounce back and still be in the top 4. I think most people had pretty much GCCE and Dude Crew uh, ending up in that 5-6 spot. Of course, that's where they started in the preseason rankings. That means just about nothing because there's no tape. Plenty of time for them to still jump up, but I'm curious to see who is going to end up getting kept out of the playoffs. But there's our week 1 standings. I'm going to attempt to show the stats. We'll see if I completely scuff it. Stats through week 1, so maybe a little overinflated, especially all those stats that are per game. Um, let's see what we got going on here.
I mean, if you extrapolate it, they're surely going to get
I got
crazy,
close.
crazy
I
stats.
got
Okay,
close.
okay. We got the rule book there.
Yeah, got close. Let me see.
I
How's that?
believe.
There we go.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
Cool. You can at least see, for the most part, see it's a little small, but that's okay. Let me see if I can show the people what they want to see. They don't care about seeing us right now, right? Maybe just
You know,
who knows?
someone might. Someone might. Okay, okay. Look
Who
at that.
knows? There we go. Pretty
Still
close.
see your dreamy eyes right now. That's all that matters.
Yeah, just peeking over, just looking at the stats. Uh, yeah, so I'm not gonna go through all these, otherwise we'll be here for an extra hour. But these are of course up on the doc. Uh, just looking through it real quick, if you haven't had a chance to look at it or whatnot. I mean, is there anything that sticks out to you? Of course, for me, I think just off rip, it's I see a lot of Drakenrich in those categories that you want your carries to be in the kills and the goals per minute and the damage dealt. Probably some other ones, but those are at least the 3 that stick out for me. I see Drakenrich and then BKs in both, leading both of the tower stats. What sticks out to you?
Yeah, so I mean, I think one of the things you have to always take into account here, KDA, kills, assists, deaths, those are things that if your team wins, you're going to look good at. If your team loses, you're going to look bad at, despite your individual performances. So I always try to take a look, CS per minute, damage dealt, things like that, that see if maybe there was a person on a team that lost that's high up there. So really sticks out to me, CS per minute, Macho, on a losing team. But if you're going to average 8.6 CS per minute, you're doing pretty good for yourself right there. Damage dealt is one of those other ones. We have Joker up there, also on a team that, you know, didn't do so hot, but the second highest damage dealt um, through week 1. So obviously, their teams might not have done well. That means their KDA might not be that great. But definitely, they do not look like it was their fault in those losses, looking at some of these stats.
True. Of course, a lot of people love the KDA stats. Those will, of course, go down as more games are played. But eyesight, intelligence, Neon Sword, Concrete, and BKs, top 5 through week 1. And then, of course, the most important stat that gets overlooked and nobody cares about except for the people that actually do it. Most of the time, support. Sometimes other people will creak up in there in the vision per minute. So, shout out to, is it all supports? I think so.
Is there?
Yep. All 5
Yeah,
supports. Okay. So doing
5 supports. There
doing the
is one
dirty
missing.
work that no one appreciates, but you got that going on. So there's some
I,
stats, just little. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I've been told that there's a hater report coming out a little bit later this week for those of you in banter chat that like it. Just throwing out there that there is one support not in the top 5 for vision per minute. Read more about it on Friday.
True, true. Especially with 6 teams. If it ends up being one of those stats that's pretty much dominated by one role, then yeah, there's going to be a 6th person out. So there's your stats through week 1. Yeah, let's kick it off. I don't know if we did it first or last week. We'll kick it off with the team rankings. That way people can think about who they want to put in chat. It's not going to count until we actually say what role do we want. So get those fingers ready. Or just wait. We'll eventually get to your role. We'll see. Either way, we'll kick it off with the team power rankings through week 1. Little number next to the team name is what they were ranked last week. Might be a little bit easier to track it that way. And so at 1, we have Conduit Omega going to stay at 1. Patriots jumping up to 2 from 3. Braum Lives Matter also jumping up to 3 from 4. New Origins Han Moon dropping to 4. GCCE and Dude Crew going to stay at 5th and 6th.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that either of us disagreed with anything. I think we had the exact same order for these team power rankings, and it's kind of hard after 1 week to argue anyways. Else all the 1-0 teams have to be on the left side, all the 0-1 teams have to be on the other side, and just based off of where they were in the preseason, kind of dictated where they were right now. Obviously, Omega, defending champs, come out with a nice clean 2-0. You got to say number 1. Patriots looked pretty good over the former number 2 team, so going to be number 2 for them. And then BLM, the other winning team, slides into number 3. Like we said on the other side, New Origins, highly ranked last week, even if they, lost. Yeah, we'll give them, I guess, 1 hiccup week before we move them any lower. So that's 4. And then 5 and 6, I would say GCCE, you won a game. So that puts you over Dude Crew for me.
Yeah, I think team power rankings and support might have been the only 2 things that we 100% agreed on. For the people that forget, this is all the power rankings team in all 5 roles. It's an average of how your 2 admins feel power ranking wise. So this is an average between us 2. I will say for me it was close to swap New Origins and Braum Lives Matter. Obviously 1 won and 1 lost, but maybe strength of opponent, maybe where they were ranked beforehand, and of course it was a 2-1 is pretty close, but they still won. And I also the fact that he lost a lot of bans for the E-sub also I think holds a little bit of weight. So I think 3 and 4 was close, but nonetheless, there are your team power rankings. Now for the stuff you really care about, it's going to be what role power ranking are we going to do first? All 5 roles are still on the table. Support, most important role. People were whispering in the chat earlier. Support, best role. I don't know. So we're going to go support first. We'll see. Y'all are super late. That's okay.
All right.
Support.
Still people chiming in. Of course, it's the ADC. Late rotates.
Yeah, late rotations. Man, they got to be at Dragons for that. Support power rankings. We're going to go from the bottom up here. It's going to be a funny dud. Going to stay at 6. Adrian Legitness going to drop from 4 into the 5th spot. Star Raven Fire dropping from 2nd down to 4th. Aspect of Noxus going to jump up from 5th to 3rd. And Tiny Fist of Fury was not ranked in the preseason because it's technically a sub on the roster. And then Poodle 25 going to stay at 1. So number 1 and number 6, the only 2 that didn't change. What are you thinking about this list?
Yeah, like you said, we actually agreed 100% on this list. It is a lot easier to get vision and to have a good KDA when your team wins. That's going to probably be what you see through most of these lists. Not to say that you can't lose and look good, but 3 winners did end up on the left side. And, Poodle, obviously, very good game. Tiny Fist of Fury put up some great numbers there for BLM. Aspect of Noxus, Pretty good game. Obviously, you guys won 2-0 there. You kind of started a little bit low, though. At least to start the season. Just gives you something to keep climbing for. And on the other side, just kind of the more of the same but opposite. When you lose, your stats just aren't going to look as good as they would if you won the games.
Yeah, and some of these roles, especially with only having 6 players, there are going to be players that have a decent series, but are either going to drop or still be at the bottom just by how everybody else does. So, like, Funny Dead had some decent games in their series. Like, the Rakan looked pretty solid. Uh, Still just comparatively going to end up at 6th. Uh, Poodle, I believe, played 2 pretty different champs, a damage dealer and a tank. And so, of course, staying at 1, Tiny Fist of Fury coming in. Don't know, I don't remember if it was pre-planned or if it was kind of last minute or not. Um, but nonetheless, pulled out the win there. And then Aspect of Noxus versus Star Ravenfire in the stream game. I was kind of hating on the blind Leona pick, but it ended up actually working out. The level 1 was actually massive. That game 1 on avoiding a Wukong gank there early. So I still think it's going to shift around and whatnot. We'll see if BLM's starting support comes back or how that shakes out. But yeah, there's your after week 1 support power rankings. What role shall we do next? We have AD carry, middle, jungle, and top lane. And sneaking in, other people fell asleep at the wheel. We're gonna hit up mid lane here for the power rankings, and we are gonna have Nightmare at the top, number 1, jumping up from 3. Drakenrich falling 1 spot into 2. Lord JK gonna jump up 1 spot from 4th. CNG Joker for GCCE gonna fall from 2 into 4th. Full Shield gonna jump up 1 spot to 5th, and Pandorum going to drop down into the 6th spot. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of movement in this. This is one of those that we've now gotten past where we agreed every single week. I mean, every single spot. That was only support, so a little disagreement between us, but nothing too big. It was just 1 or 2 here or there, up or down. But you know, big thing I would say, obviously, Joker, pretty big drop right there, but 2 to 4 gives you something to fight for. I don't think they played necessarily too bad. 3-game series looked pretty good. Had one pretty good pop off game, but yeah, not too much of a shift. Nightmare, obviously, really good series for them. Only 2 games. Drakenrich played pretty well, but did have a game in there that maybe wasn't the best, and in my mind, that just was enough to put Nightmare over the top to 1.
Yeah, Nightmare, really solid series. I think initially, uh, obviously power rankings are kind of a shot in the dark. So Nightmare could have arguably been higher than 3, especially with how they performed in split 2 of Rivals League. But either way, already made it up into 1. Drakenrich, yeah, I agree. Patented Vex popped off a lot. Split 2. Didn't have a terrible game by any means this week, but you never love to see double deaths on a carry. Lord JK obviously popped off in that game too. The Swain was nasty. CNG Joker gonna fall. It's one of those where obviously preseason and of course this player being a rookie to Rivals League, don't really have any tape. I think played solid. I got to catch some of the game 3, which maybe is a kind of tough matchup. You have the Pantheon into the Cassiopeia, but I agree that pop off game in game 2 was enough to stay out of the bottom 2. And then 5 and 6, yeah, you could maybe swap. I think it's pretty close. I think the Cho'Gath mid from Pandorum was kind of tough. Granted, the game overall was kind of tough, so maybe blame the champ, blame the lane, blame the game state. Who knows? But either way, gonna fall a little bit. We'll see how it shakes out. But here are your mid after a little bit of tape. A little bit of tape. All right. Now we can go. What role shall be next? Bottom, jungle, or top lane? Jungle. Gonna sneak in. We're gonna do jungle next. Your week 1 jungle power rankings of Rivals League split 3. We have Eyesight up at number 1, going to stay there from last week. Pelly Penguin going to jump up 1 spot from 3rd, comma, going to also jump up 1 spot into 3rd place from 4th. Key going to drop from 2nd to 4th. Jonakis going to jump up 1 spot and swap with WL Perfect Timer from GCCE. Kind of similar to the mid lane. New Origins player falling, and then I don't know if it was the exact same or not, but oh no, I guess different teams, but the 5 and 6 swapping either way. I think we disagreed on 1 or 2 players, but overall it was pretty close. Is there any people that rose or fell that really stick out to you?
Obviously, Key fell the most this week, with Pelly Penguin and Kama jumping over them. That second game, not the greatest game for them. I think that's kind of what led them to fall the most. Tough matchup, though. As far as, everyone else, they kind of really just moved one position. Jonakis had a pretty good week despite losing both games. Wouldn't say were their fault either time. So it just felt like, given the KDA and everything in those games and how they played, that they would go up 1 spot to 5th there.
Yeah, I think Jonakis was actually one of the ones that was tougher for me to rank. Obviously, we streamed 1 series, so we didn't get to catch all the tape for all the players, right? So we're kind of spitballing to the information that we have. I would agree. It doesn't look like Jonakis, like hard fed or did anything crazy. At the same time, you're down a good amount of CS as jungle, even if you only have a few deaths and whatnot. Maybe that plays into how the rest of your team is playing. Of course, jungle support kind of being those roles where you have to impact multiple people, multiple lanes. So the impact might have been felt more than the stat lines. Who knows? But Jonakis was definitely a tough one. Whether or not to be 4th, 5th, maybe you could argue 6th, but this is where they're going to end up. Perfect Timer going to fall in their 3 game series. Pulled out the J4, pulled out the 10 death but 23 assist Trundle, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the carry in the game 3 didn't quite work out on the Nocturne. So that's why you're going to drop a little bit there. Key, of course, we have more tape on Eyesight and Key as they were the streamed match of the week. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we kind of beat it to death on stream already, but the Mordekaiser looked like a tough pick. I'm actually not a Mordekaiser jungle hater. I've seen it a good amount. I think one of the rivals gold team actually used to pick it a decent amount, so I've seen it pop off. And Key likes those carry champs. I think the Wukong looked fine, but the Mordekaiser, especially level 1, was a tough for in that game. So I think that really contributed to why he fell. And then by nature, Pelly and Kama jumping up in their wins. I'm trying to think of who Pelly played. Was it Wukong? Was it Volley? No, Volley was top lane. Is that Zinzao or Kane? That's Zinzao. I don't know. The pictures changed for me. So either way, pulling out the carry champ and going 5-1-7. So don't quote me on what champ that is.
Yeah, it was Wukong and Zinzao.
True. And then, of course, sure, I guess so. Eyesight going to stay at number 1. Hit about 87 Amumu Qs. Seemed like maybe he was headhunting against some of his former teammates. Going to stay at 1. So we have some junglers that play different styles. Some junglers like that tank supportive frontline style, and some junglers like more the carry role. It's always interesting to see how those actually shake out in these matches. So yeah, more to come, but that's there's your jungle power rankings. 2 roles left, 80 carry and top lane, and Poodle just barely gonna pull it out. It's going to be top lane next. We'll save the best for last, I guess. If you think 80 carry does anything, we'll see. But we'll go
definitely right click the most.
Yeah. Oh, you don't play whatever the new keyboard buttons are. Anyway, your top lane power rankings after week 1. It's going to be Dude Caleb falling to 6th, Thundermaster falling down to 5th from 3rd, Roy Dismay Gonna stay at fourth. Storm gonna drop one spot from second to third. Stoic, who was not previously ranked, the E sub coming in, who is now officially a sub on the roster, moving forward, is gonna make their debut at second, and then BK's going to stay at number one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this was the first time that we're having someone from a winning team not be in the top three. I believe so. Roy, you know, even though you won, I think that might have a lot to do with the respect that we have for Storm. It is just right now in the season, but we have three splits worth of Storm just dominating in Rivals League. And I think that that gets them a little bit more respect and maybe a little bit more leeway on how far they're going to drop after 1 week. Not that Storm played badly in any means, but um, at least in my mind, that was kind of my thought there on why they didn't drop all the way to the right side.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. And Roy, formerly known as Big News, I would say to an extent in the same boat. Obviously, going to stay at four, so didn't move, and they won 2-0. I think Roy played all right. The game one, maybe, at least on paper, didn't look like it was necessarily the best top lane. Who cares? Your team won. And then game two looked pretty solid on the volley bear. Um, Thundermaster was one of those players that was really tough to rank preseason because had a really high rank, but you could tell majority of their games, solo queue and whatnot, is I believe 80 carry, and so that one was kind of a question mark going in of how that one's going to fare. They ended up going 3 games. The Kale got a ton of farm in their game 3, but curious to know how much of an impact it was able to make. And maybe it's more of Stoic actually had a really really good series. That's why they're at 2. Was it 3 tanks? I know at least 2 tanks. Yep, 3 tank duty by Stoic, and still did really well. I think all 3 games. And if BK's wasn't already one, Stoic might have popped off and went 1, but they went to 3 games. So I'm gonna stay at 2. And then to touch on Storm, I actually think despite how after maybe the first 15 minutes of game 1. How Patriots kind of ran with the rest of game 1, and then game 2 wasn't really that close. I actually think Storm played pretty well, despite how their team overall performance was. Especially getting counterpicked in game 1, I think had a solo bolo up there in the top lane on the Ornn. So just going to drop the 1 spot. You could swap 3 and 4, and I don't think anyone would be too upset about it. But that's how it's going to shake out this week. And then Dude Caleb gonna end up falling. It was didn't look like the greatest showing in week 1. Pulled out the Alawi game 2, I think, and then game 1 was set. Didn't go 0-20 or anything crazy, but just comparatively going to be slightly below 5th, and we'll see if it ends up being a battle between 5th and 6th, or if one of these two can jump some of these other teams. The tier on Alawi has been pointed out a couple times. We'll see. We'll see if anyone else that plays Alawi at this split pulls out the tier, and then it'll just be super normal. Or it's a new tech, who knows?
Yeah, new tech for sure.
All right, I would ask the chat, but all right, do we want to do 80 carry or just want to call it? Okay, I guess we'll do 80 carry. Okay, Husky, I think you know 1 or 2 things about this role. Bot lane power rankings after week 1. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you would think after 10 years of playing it, I would, but I would put myself
bit.
7th on this list, so
okay.
Maybe in fact I don't.
Hey, top 7, that's all right. Bot lane power rankings after week 1. Number 1, another Omega member going to be at number 1, Concrete, jumping up from 2, Intelligence, jumping up from 3 into the 2nd spot, Neon Sword as well, going to jump up 1 spot from 4th to 3rd. WL Nike Dragon going to fall from 1st to 4th, Macho and WL Sniper Borkua going to stay at 5th and 6th. that's as close as it's going to get. That's as close as we're going to get.
Just Sniper.
Nah, I couldn't help it. I was already. That's definitely how you say it. I don't care what you say. All right. 80 carry. We said it before. The split started on paper. I think even still, and we'll see how long the trend goes. 80 carry's got to be the most stacked role. It was tough to rank these just because I think every week it's going to feel wrong for whoever's in 4th and 5th. Now I'm giving Sniper one warm up week. He's gonna figure it out. He's not always gonna stay six. He's gonna jump up in the rankings. We'll see. Nonetheless, whoever ends up in fourth and fifth, it's just gonna feel wrong. Jumping or dropping from first to fourth for Nike, who I thought had a decent series in their 0-2 loss. Didn't play poorly by any means. Um, I think it's just comparatively these top three deserve to be top three.
Yeah. There were good points obviously in that stream game for Nike, but it's tough when you lose two straight games to, stay on that left side. So, a little unfortunate for that, especially, intelligence really popped off in those games. We saw, Neon Sword put up great numbers. I think they were the KDA leaders, if I am not mistaken, last split in Rivals League. Concrete just, going crazy just like they did last split in the playoffs. So, like you said, 1, 2, and 3 seemed like obvious choices. With that being said, and unfortunately for Mr. Nike Dragon, going to drop down. Macho, like I pointed out on the stat sheet, best CSer of the week. Um, but when your team loses, it is awfully hard to do well on a squishy ADC when everyone else on your team is not doing well. So, in my personal opinion, I would say the role that is most affected by how well your team is doing.
Okay. Fair enough. Sounds like some bias, but hey, no, what was
It's never the ADC's
that?
fault. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Macho also was tough to rank. I mean, obviously their team got 0-2'd, and it's for all the player rankings. It's like, oh, if your team gets 0-2'd, you're gonna drop. You stay the same and or drop. I mean, game one actually was it game one the Smolder? Uh, actually looked like he played really well. So fifth kind of felt bad because he definitely played well at least one of the games. Um, so tough to kind of fourth and fifth maybe could have been swapped, but I think because Macho was already fifth, Nike was already first. They kind of met right there, so that one was close. Neon Sword, was it Neon Sword that had two perfect games? Let me see. Yeah, so Neon Sword had game one and three had perfect games. Now, is that because they were just perfect spacing popping off? Is it because they were running away from T fights? Who knows? AD carries don't actually do that.
Is it
Um,
because their support did something?
Support
Probably
probably
not.
ditched them. Yeah. But the game
Yeah,
two
probably not.
looked like a little was left to be desired. That is the game that they lost, I believe. So that's why they ended up at three. And then of course on stream, we saw Nike Dragon versus Intelligence. Um, Early, like in lane, I think it was actually fairly even. Intelligence popped off on a few team fights, especially in game one on the Ezreal. Was able to stay alive a very long time, but not that damage, and so it naturally, eventually picked up a bunch of kills. So um, I don't think there's like a big gap between really any of like the numbers on the screen. We'll see as we get more tape if the separation continues to grow. Sniper, I'll say, sitting at sixth, gonna stay at sixth again. I'm gonna give him the 1 week pass. We'll see if this week was a fluke warm up week, but we'll see how they do moving forward. There are your power rankings. I think we have just one more thing to do. Uh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen in week two on Sunday? Husky, we have Conduit Omega versus Braum Lives Matter, GCCE versus New Origins Han Moon Patriots versus Dude Crew. Uh, which one do you want to start on?
I think we start at the top. I like going top to bottom.
Okay, pause. What? Okay. I think we agreed that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have a bad memory. It's been all of 30 minutes since we talked about it. That is going to be our streamed match of the week: Conduit Omega versus Braum Lives Matter. Uh, Two teams that had good showings in Split 2 of Rivals League, and of course are now both 1-0. So uh, for me, now I'm going to make the assumption that Braum Lives Matter either has their starters back or at the least isn't going to use an e-sub so they don't lose bans. So assuming they're not going to lose any bans, um, I don't remember what I put on our actual sheet, but looking at it now, I'm gonna go Conduit Omega 2-1. I don't know if that's what I actually said, but that's what I'm
That
saying
is,
now.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect, perfect, perfect.
that's what you said.
I don't. I think I'm gonna probably rock with Conduit Omega winning every series until proven otherwise. Reigning champs, undefeated, so they'll probably get the nod in every series until they lose, if they lose. And then Brown Lives Matter, I think they're gonna at least have enough going for them that they're gonna be able to take off one game versus Conduit Omega. What do you think?
Yeah, so I agreed with you that I have Conduit winning this. I do have the 2-0 here, however. I think they made pretty quick work 2-0 last week. And, excited for the stream game because I think that there might be a little bit of a grudge match here from last year's playoffs where Brahm Lives Matter got their first and only loss of Rivals League
True, true.
in the playoffs, and it wasn't particularly close. I think Conduit kind of ran them over in a surprise win there. So a little bit of a grudge match maybe, but I think that until Conduit proves otherwise, they're just going to 2-0 everyone. Um, so they're a steamroller, and you don't want to get in their way.
Okay, okay. Checks out to me. Checks out to me. Game or match 2 on this list for week 2 is going to be GCC versus New Origins Han Moon. Now GCC lost 1-2 to BLM. New Origins lost 0-2 to Patriots. So two teams with losses here. You can maybe point out that they had different opponents. You could make whatever argument you might want to say. I don't know. I'm still going to rock with New Origins Han Moon being a top 3 team overall. I'm going to give week 1 as their warm-up week, and they're going to bounce back and figure it out here. I don't remember what I put, but right now I'm going to rock a 2-0 New Origins Han Moon. I think GCCE unfortunately going to fall down to 0-2. I don't think it's impossible for this series to go 3 games, but I'm still going to rock NOH.
All right, that is actually what you picked before we started in the pick'ems, so that makes sense. Now, I agree. I think that New Origins is going to get it back together and get the win, but I have a 2-1. I think GCCE does win a game for the second week in a row to stay competitive with these teams, but I just don't think at the end of the day it's going to be enough. I think that New Origins rights the ship and starts going in the right direction after week 2.
Yeah, and maybe it's just because I recognize a lot more players as far as like seeing them, seeing film and like other splits and whatnot for NOH, and being confident they're gonna bounce back, like figure it out. GCC, it's still just question marks, and it's one of those can't pick you to win until you prove that you can. Obviously, we're all of one weekend, and they have taken a game. So if they take at least one game, I think they're going to be a good battle throughout this split for maybe that 4 spot. But we'll see how they stack up. I hope it goes. I guess we're not streaming that one, so I hope it goes 3 banger games. But we'll have to see. And then our Patriots versus that are 2-0 versus the Dude Crew. The split one, I was losing my words there. Our split one champions versus Dude Crew, who has a lot of returning players. I guess I can't really say it's a returning team. Just kind of keep bouncing around and whatnot, but came back together for this split. Yeah, I don't know. Patriots had a really demanding 2-0 victory in week 1, and Dude Crew dropped 0-2. It's kind of one of those where it's tough. I would be interested to hear anybody's argument to pick Dude Crew over Patriots going off of what happened in week 1. Granted, I'll say it again. I'll give everybody their week 1 warm-up pass, so hopefully Dude Crew can figure it out, and hopefully for the Patriots that it wasn't like a week 1 fluke miracle win. So week 1's always the who's actually good, who's actually not type situation, but I'm gonna rock Patriots 2-0 in this one.
All right, hear me out here. Hear me out.
Okay, cook.
All right, so we got the second grudge match of the week right here. These two teams, and we're just going to assume that Dude Crew is, Kachow, because they're almost Kachow and kind of Kachow, even if they're not Kachow.
There's some people.
So Kachow beat the Patriots and knocked them out of the playoffs last split.
True.
And this is a very similar, if very, very similar roster that knocked the other roster that's also very similar out last split. And so I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm not done.
Cook. I thought you were done cooking.
No. Patriots. I see them typing over here in the chat. I think they're overlooking this team. I think they think that they got this championship on lock some reason, and I'm not so sure about that. They played well. I'll give them their flowers, but I don't think you can overlook any team in this league. And for that reason, I'm going Patriots 2-1.
Okay. You almost have me there, but at least a 2-1.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't think unless it's like week 6 and the team's 0-5, maybe then you can be more confident. But only week 1, and I will point out, Dude Crew, or I guess if you're referencing Kachow from last split, Key was a big part of success. Who's now on Han Moon, but we'll see if they can figure out going into this week 2. So okay, there you have it. I think we made it right under the wire. So I think that's all. Showed everything we wanted to show. Quick little 45-minute Rivals run back. There you have it. This VOD will be up here shortly. And look for some content coming out this week. Hopefully Husky doesn't hurt anybody's feelings too badly. I'll have to talk to the HR department about him. If so, just let me know. But you opted into banter for a reason if you're in that channel. If not, then I guess just be on the lookout for my PC report that I put out. So, all right, Husky, any parting words?
Yeah, like you said, if you guys didn't see the first week of the hater report, opt into banner chat. It is the first piece of content that has to be banter chat. So definitely some hot, spicy takes. Basic premise is you all suck. I suck more, but you all suck too. So, yeah. I'm just excited to get week 2 out there.
Cool. All right. Let's see. VOD will go up today, tomorrow, or Thursday. I forget. Pick'ems will go out one of these 2 days, and then the Husky Hater report takes, and then Barbarian breakdown. So, yeah, we'll see. Excited for week 2, and stream wise, we will be back unless it gets rescheduled. 7 p.m. Central, the correct time, or 8 p.m. whatever Eastern time, something like that. On Sunday, we will see you back then for Conduit Omega versus Braum Lives Matter. See you then.
Have a good one, guys.